Hello everyone, I am Faith Godbold from A Touch of Faith. Welcome to my channel. This is the completed wreath from my Home Sweet Home wreath kit for 2022. In this video, I show you how to create this beautiful wreath. If you'd like to purchase this kit, be sure to check out my website or Etsy shop linked in the description box below. And while you're at it, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you receive notifications when we add new tutorials. Okay, let's get started. Today, so I'm super excited to be back. We're going to do the Home Sweet Home wreath kit. I have been waiting to do this one with you ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so excited to be back. So this kit has been so popular in my shop that I just restocked it, and I realized we had not done the tutorial for it yet, so I wanted to go ahead and get that created so that if any of you have this kit, you could go ahead and get yours designed. So let me show you the supplies that you will get in your kit. So we're going to prep our frame, and we're going to use the chenille stems that come in your kit, and you'll get enough of these to not only attach your mesh, but also if you want to make a bow, you can also to add your sign. Okay, and if you've watched any of my tutorials before, you all know I have a preferred way of doing it. There's no right or wrong to this, but this is just my preferred way. So each of your rings, your wreath form, you're going to see that there are 4 rings, and then there are 6 sections. So what I always like to do is we're going to add 3 pipe cleaners per section. And to get us started, I'm going to eyeball the crossbars right here, and I'm going to find the midpoint. So when I find that midpoint, I'm going to wire rings 3 and 4 right in the center. So I just go around 3 and 4 in the middle, bring my pipe cleaner up halfway like that, and then I squeeze it at the base, and then I give it a couple of twists. So that first pipe cleaner for me always goes in the center. And then I'm going to put 2 on the outside 2 rings. So rings 1 and 2. We're going to find the crossbar again, find that middle where we just identified it, and then I'm going to go in between those 2. So imagine there were a straight line here, and there's your crossbar, and we're going to go halfway, which is about right here. So we're going to eyeball it, and we are going to wire up rings 1 and 2 the exact same way, squeezing it at the base and giving it a couple of twists. Now if you do it tight enough, when you take your finger and do this, it should not move on you. Okay, here's the crossbar, here is that middle pipe cleaner, so I'm going halfway, which is about right here. So by the time you're finished, this is what one section should look like. Okay, let me know in the comments if this is how you wire your wreath form. If you wire it a different way, tell me which way you wire yours. Okay, so let me know if you do the same. You can comment same. So there are 3 pipe cleaners in that section. So now we're just going to rotate and repeat that step. And y'all, it usually takes me about a minute to wire up a form. Of course, I'm talking to you all, so it might take me a little longer, but typically this is my first step when I'm ready to create a wreath. I go ahead and wire it up and have it ready to go. All right, and as you can see, it goes pretty quick, just like so. All right, so that's what it should look like when you're finished if you wire your wreath form using this technique. Okay, and you can see we have enough pipe cleaners left over to add a bow and add our sign. All right, so let's grab our mesh now. So I'm going to move this to the side. I've already cut 1 roll of the mesh, so let me go ahead and open this one. This is what it looks like, y'all, and I am loving this mesh. It feels like a fabric mesh, but it also has some of the poly like deco mesh pieces, so it's like a blend of the 2, but you will get 2 rolls of this in your kit, and we are going to cut these at 20 inches today. So let's go ahead and finish cutting our mesh. I'm going to use a rotary cutter. Typically when I use mesh that has the fibers like this, I do not use a wood burner because I don't want to risk starting a fire with those fibers, okay? So it's highly recommended that you use a rotary cutter. My mat is a 24 by 36. So I'm going to cut it right here on the 20-inch mark, okay? So we're just going to do our cuts real quick. All right, we are going to use cruffles today, and we will start with the outside pipe cleaners. And so when I do cruffles, I am precise with mine. You don't have to do this. You could literally just fold and roll, and I may show you a little bit of that technique in just a bit. But what I typically like to do is I put my mesh on the table, curve side upward, so curl side facing upward. I'm going to use my scissors again to hold it, to keep it from rolling on me. And then I'm going to use a little chip clip. These come from the dollar store. I'm just going to use that in just a minute. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to literally roll my mesh first. And I'm going to roll it maybe about 4 times because this one's only cut 20 inches. If it were longer, I would roll more than the 4. So let's see what maybe 3 or 4 times looks like. So I'm going to roll it. And the first roll, I really want it to be more of like a flat roll. That way I can really get control of my roll, and I want to keep it straight. So the first one is more flat, and I don't usually count that one. Then I'm going to just roll. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to clip it, rotate it around, okay? And then we're going to repeat and do that same thing. So that's what it looks like on the other side. So now I'm going to flatten that first one, and then we're going to roll. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then all we're going to do is scrunch it straight up the middle. And thankfully I put my clip in the middle. I can also tell that the middle is the green. So I'm just going to scrunch it straight up that green right here in the middle. And to scrunch, I'm going to use my thumb and my index finger, and I'm literally going to walk up this mesh. Okay, so just like so. See how I'm pushing it toward me? And I'm walking the mesh in my hands and walking up the mesh. And when you finish, it should look something like this, sort of like a little bow tie or a butterfly. And if you do it in the middle, you should have equal amounts on the left and on the right, okay? And then all we're going to do is grab our frame. And I'm just going to start in a section, and I am going to start on the outside. So I'm going to place it in just like so, where mine are going left to right. You could place it where your ruffles are going up and down, totally up to you, personal preference. And look at there, y'all. Take a look at how that cruffle looks. What do y'all think about that? Look at how the colors are building up so nicely. I love it. So that is what it's going to look like once you complete a ruffle. Okay, let me know what you think in the comments about that. All right, so let's do that again. Gonna slide it over. All right, so we're gonna take our mesh, curve side facing upward again. We're going to flatten that first one, and then we're going to roll it about 4 times. Okay, clip it in the middle, rotate it around. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. So take your first roll, practically flatten it, and then roll about 4 times. And then you're going to scrunch towards you, just like so. And notice again, it's a beautiful little ruffle. And then I'm going to work in one section at a time. So I'm going to move to the pipe cleaner on the left. And here's what I want to do. I'm going to stack mine, build on top. So I'm not going to lift this up and have it side by side. I'm literally going to leave it stacked down, and I'm laying it right there where that pipe cleaner is. Okay, keeping my fingers on that middle. And then I'm kind of moving the mesh a little, and then I'm taking my pipe cleaners and going around it. I've learned by stacking that will give you more coverage on your base, and you will not see your wireframe at all. Okay, y'all like that technique? Okay, and then we have one left to do, which is on the inner. So let's go ahead and do our inner next. Okay, so let's make another one. Cruffle, and I'm placing it on that inside pipe cleaner. Notice I didn't move the mesh out of the way because we're literally just stacking it on top. And that. All right, so all of our pipe cleaners are still accessible for us. So let me zoom out so you can see. What do you think? This is our completed base. And I'm just moving some of these back around now that everything's in. So we were able to go all the way around our design and get all of our mesh added. And I think that looks beautiful already. So let's go ahead and cut our ribbon tails. And for the 2.5 inch, we are going to cut them at 14 inches. And we're going to need 3 pieces of this particular ribbon. So we're going to cut 3 at 14 inches. So I'm just literally just making my cuts at 14 inches. Let's go ahead and cut the polka dot. We're going to cut it the same way. So we will cut 14-inch pieces. All right, let's do half bows for our 1.5 inch. So we're going to need 19-inch pieces. So we're going to cut this at 19. Let's make 3 of those. And let's do 19 inches again of the gingham. All right. So we're going to do half bows for the 1.5 inch. So let me go ahead and just get it dovetailed. To dovetail, this is a review. All you want to do is just take your ribbon, and I like to fold the edges together, the 2 ends, just like that. And then I'm going to fold in half so that the wired edges touch. All of the ribbon is wired. And then I'm going to cut from the folded edge to the outside open edge. And the deeper your V, the deeper your V will be when you have cut into your ribbon for your dovetail. And see how by doing both at once, you get a nice even cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly do our dovetail. All right, so let's decide on the order of how we want our ribbon to go in. Okay, so I just kind of cut everything and left it right here. So I think we're going to separate the 2.5 inch from the 1.5 inch. So if we do that one first, then let's plan to do the natural. And I'm not technically creasing it because we're going to make half bows. All right, then we can do the magnolia, and then we'll end with the gingham. How's that look? So we're going to go in this order, just like that, okay? And to start, we're only going to put ribbon tails on the outside. We'll see if we need them on the inside, okay? All right, so we're going to just start with the green polka dot right here. And then, y'all, all I'm going to do is take that fold and open it. But I'm going to keep my eye on that fold, and look, I'm just going to scrunch right up that middle because I know that's the midpoint, and it makes a nice little ribbon tail just like that. And I'm going to drop this straight into the pipe cleaner. So literally I went to the outside open edge right here where that pipe cleaner was waiting for me, and then I'm going to give it a couple of twists just like so. And then we're going to fan it out. Isn't that beautiful, y'all, on that mesh? All right, let's do the same thing, but this time we're going to make a half bow. So let me show you what a half bow looks like. We're going to take our ribbon. I'm going to start the process of folding it in half, but I'm not going to crease it. And then I'm going to take my fingers, and I'm going to come down about 2 inches. And I'm going to scrunch it at about 2 inches, just like that. And see how it made a little loop at the top? That's going to be the start of my bow. So I'm going to take this. All right, and then all I'm going to do is right here where that pipe cleaner is, I'm going to put that half bow in right there. Give it a couple of twists. And then right now, you will notice that the ribbon is twisted. One side is the right side, the other side is the wrong side. So I'm going to just twist it over, the wrong side that is, so that both are now on the right side. And then I'm going to take my fingers through that loop and open that bow loop up. And that is how we're going to make our half bow. Can you see that? Look at there. Cute little half bow tucked under right there, okay? So next we have our magnolia ribbon. So it's already pleated, so I'm going to open it up. Scrunch right in the middle, okay, just like that. And then I'm going to find the next pipe cleaner on the outside and then go right in, give it a couple of twists. So I'm not untwisting before I put the ribbon tails in. I'm just literally adding it on and twisting it on, okay? Y'all, what do you think about the ribbon so far? Look at how it's adding to the wreath, okay? All right, let's do another half bow. So we're gonna grab that moss gingham. Remember, we're not pleating this one, like actually pressing it, because we're going to open that loop. But we're going to come down about 2 inches, scrunch it, okay? That's going to be our half bow loop right here. And then I'm going to find the next pipe cleaner, just lift it, make room for the bow, and give it a couple of twists. Take the wrong side, which is the left side for me, fan it out, and then I'm going to open that loop. And just that quickly, we added in a ribbon tail in 4 pieces of our mesh, okay? So let's keep going in that order. So I'm just going to, all right, let me zoom back out so you can see the wreath. So tell me, what do you think? This is our completed wreath so far, and I'm thinking it's looking great. So that's our base. So we're going to figure out where we want our sign to go, where we want our bow, all of that. Okay. So let's grab the sign again. And I was playing earlier when y'all saw me put the sign on. I was looking at what it might look like on the side, like that. And I think that would be beautiful. We could do that. Let me pull it over a little bit more so it has more support. So if we do that, we could easily put a bow up top. We could put our bow here if we want it to go beside it. So I don't think we're going to need any inside pipe cleaners covered with ribbon. I don't think so. So we'll probably go ahead and cut those down in just a minute. All right, so that's one option. Another option is you could put your sign dead center, and then you really would not need a bow at all because you're really using all of your space. So that's another option. If you wanted to have it in the center but still leave room for a sign, we could pull, or for a bow rather, if you want to leave room for a bow, you could pull it down a little bit like this, and let me turn it slightly so that I can see it. So we could pull it down like that and then put a bow right there. So what are you thinking? Do you think sign on the side with the bow, center no bow, which would be here, center no bow, or bottom with the bow? Let me know which way you're thinking, and I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do. So one more time, if you want option 1, you can put 1, 2, or 3. 1 is side with the bow. Option 2 is sign in the dead center, no bow. Option 3 is sign at the bottom with the bow at the top. So go ahead and comment 1, 2, or 3, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my easy bow maker because you might say you want a bow. So let's see what you're going to say. Anyone watching the replay, go ahead and comment too. I still want to know what y'all think. And I think we might try it at the bottom. So if I cradle it right there, And what I'm doing is I'm eyeballing this pipe cleaner. That's going to be my midpoint. What do you think if I put the bow there? I might try that. So let's try this placement. I haven't done this placement in a minute. But here's the good thing. I could always move it, right? Because it's not set in stone. So let's grab our ribbon and let's grab our bow maker. I like the Easy Bow Maker, but you could use the Bow Dabra if you want. All of my tools that I love are located on my website. If you want to check them out, shoplikefayth.com. If you go to craft supplies, you'll see the bow makers that I use. But this one has just become my favorite. So let's see what ribbon and in what order we want. So I definitely am going to start with the 2.5 inch first, just so that I have a nice base for my bow. And I think I might use this one first. And then if I do that one second, I think I like that. I think I might try that order right there, y'all. So first, second, third, fourth. Again, there's no right or wrong with your order. It's just a personal preference, but I'm visualizing the bow as I do it. If I were to switch these two, it would look like that. But I think I want to separate the colors like I did before. So let's try this. I think that's going to be the order for the bow. All right, so let me see how long I'm going to do my tail. Usually I notice I do about a 7-inch tail. And I think that will work for this. And let's see what that 5-inch loop, I think that will work. So let's do a 7-inch tail, 5-inch loop for this. All right, so we're going to dovetail, just like we did a moment ago, our ends. Okay. And we're going to make about a 7-inch tail. I love making bows. Do y'all use bow makers or do you make your bow by hand? Typically, if I'm making a bow that has multiple ribbons, I like to use my bow maker. It's just easier on my hands. All right, so let's go with 7 inches. Okay, so we're going to scrunch right here at the 7-inch mark. And then I like to fluff as I go. All right, so I am turning it. So I twisted. After I pinched it, I did a twist. And now I'm going to do a loop. So I'm going to loop it at 5 inches. And I always like to make sure that center is nice and straight. Twist it hard because that's going to make sure your bow looks the way that you want it in the middle. So I'm using my left hand now to see where 5 inches is right here. See that? This is 5 inches. So I'm taking my hand, pulling it out to 5, and then in the middle, I'm going to do another hard twist again. Okay, just like that. And then I need to loop it one more time. So I'm going to twist, make sure it's all the way up. You want to see the wrong side of your ribbon. Okay. And now I'm going to loop it at 5 inches again. So I'm going straight back through the middle of my bow maker. I'm going to move this tail out of the way. So that's why I also like to fluff as I go. And now that is 5 inches. I've already stretched it out. So I'm going to press the bow down. I'm going to stretch it back out to 7 inches. And then we're going to cut it at the 7-inch mark. And then I'm going to dovetail this in. Notice I'm fluffing it, so I'm making my loops and tails do opposite things. So since I have a tail at the top, I'm making this tail come toward the bottom, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and dovetail it first so that when I'm finished, it's already dovetail. Okay? And there we have it. First bow is made. Okay? And I think that's beautiful. And look, I have a little bit of ribbon left. So if I wanted to do a ribbon tail on the inside, which we might, we'll see if we have any spaces, we could certainly do that. All right, let's grab our second ribbon. All right, so let's go ahead and dovetail it. So this one is a softer canvas, but where you have the polka dot, it's stiff. Kind of like here where the magnolia, that's because it's painted on. So you have to just make sure you squeeze around those parts. All right, we're going to measure this one a little shorter than the 7 inches. So let's go 6.5. So where my thumb is right here, that's 6.5. So I'm going to scrunch it on my mat just so I can have space. All right, there it is. I scrunched it. And now I'm going to twist it and drop that twisted part right into the bow maker. And then I'm going to make this tail come to the bottom since I started on the top last time. So I'm doing the opposite, okay? All right, and then we're going to make our loops a little smaller. So let's loop it at 4.5 inches. So let me find the 4.5 with my fingers, keeping my middle nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in and start measuring with my left hand. And there's 4.5. So I'm going to give it a nice tight twist right here at the 4.5 mark. And since my last loop went up to the top, I'm going to bring this one down to the bottom, just like so. Okay. Making sure that middle is nice and straight. And then we're going to end with a 4.5 inch loop on the right. Okay. So I'm going to drop my ribbon in, pull it straight down while I'm measuring. So if it's not at the 4.5, I just need to pull it back towards the left. There's my 4.5, making sure my ribbon is straight. And it's a little challenging where that polka dot was, but I was able to do it. So there's my 4.5, and I'm going to take this loop up to the top because its tail is at the bottom. Okay, so you're just doing the opposites. Okay. And then we're going to cut it at 6.5 inches right here. And notice this is the ribbon that we have left over that we could easily use for some tails if we needed more tails. If you wanted to even make another little bow, you could. All right, let's go ahead and dovetail the ends just like so. I'm creasing it, and then I'm cutting it from edge to edge. And this tail is going to go more up to the top so that it's opposite this tail. See how we do it? All right, what do y'all think about the bow so far? We've added 2 ribbons, so we have 2 bows stacked on top of each other. Let's do our cabana stripe next, making our tail a little shorter. So we're going to go ahead and dovetail the ends, and let's make this tail 6 inches. So where my thumb is right there, that's 6 inches. So I'm just going to scrunch it on the table. Go ahead and do it that hard twist, drop it in the middle, and it's a little over 6, so I need to bring it in some. So even if you measure in the beginning and it ends up not being what you thought it was, you can fix it. All right, the last tail was at the bottom, so I'm going to make this tail come more up to the top, just like so. Okay, and then we're going to loop this one at 4 inches. So I'm moving my tail so I can see the 4-inch mark. So right there, give it a hard twist in the middle, just like that. Loop it. All right, and then I'm going to measure on the right. So let's move some tails and loops so we can see. And then we're going to cut it at 6 inches, just like so. Now compared to the other ribbon, this one is not as thick and heavy, so it's kind of trying to go up in the air a little bit. All right, making the loops and tails go opposite of each other. See how I'm doing that? All right, let's go ahead and dovetail this one. If you didn't dovetail now, you could dovetail at the very end, but I'm going to go ahead and dovetail now. Okay, and then this tail is going to come down to the bottom, just like so. And this one can go to the top, just like that. Okay. All right, a little bit of ribbon left for our ribbon tail. All right, let's do one more bow. We have our gingham right here. 5.5 inch tail this time. So dovetail, measure 5.5 inches. There we go. We're going to scrunch it. Okay. Twist it, drop it in. Check my measurement because I knew I was a little off because I had to guess. I couldn't see. There we go. Since this tail went up, I'm going to bring this tail down. And then we're going to do 3.5 inches on the loop. Okay. So I'm moving some things so I can see my ruler. Okay, I need a little bit shorter. Just like this. Okay. There we go. There's 3.5. And you can also compare your tails to know if you're close in length. So this tail, the green, should be a little shorter than the natural, that cabana stripe. All right, checking my midpoint, making sure my ribbon is straight. And now we're going to loop it again at the 3.5 inches, keeping my ribbon nice and straight. Okay, moving my previous ribbon so I can see. There we go. And then 5.5 inches on the tail and cut right there. And of course, because we use less of the ribbon, we have more of this remaining. Okay. Now let's see if we can dovetail without losing that placement in the center there. And I think I'm holding it nice. There we are. And y'all, this is our bow. So let's go ahead and get it tied off. So I'm going to grab one of those pipe cleaners that remain. Let's go ahead and slightly fold it over. And then I'm going to plug up the glue in case we need some glue, since we're getting close to the end. Okay. And so now I'm going to press down on the bow as I pull up on the bow. So I want to keep everything in my hands. Okay. So I'm pressing down while I'm pulling up, and I want to make sure I have all of the bow in my hand before I pull it up. There we go. So see how I have all of the bow just like that, and I want to go ahead and drop that pipe cleaner in that space where the pegs were. So that's all I'm doing. I'm dropping that pipe cleaner down in the space where the pegs were. Gonna pull tight. This is what it looks like on the back. See that? Okay. I'm going to pull and give it a twist. So I'm holding my right hand still and I'm twisting the bow. You don't have to twist both hands, just twist one hand. Okay, just give it a couple of good twists. Now once you do that, then you can take a minute, finish fluffing, and mine's pretty fluffed. I did that little nub thing again, y'all, a little. Let me make that a sharp point. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just taking my hands, making sure all of the tails look the way that I want them to look. Just like this. Okay, all of my loops look the way that I want them to look. All right, y'all give me some feedback on the bow. What do you think? I'll give you a second to just take that beauty in. We are going to add our bow right there. Okay? So, let's go ahead and trim this one down. And I'm leaving the sign there on purpose. because I want to make sure I get it placed exactly where I want it. All right, I'm going to rotate this around for just a minute. The sign is not on there yet, but I'm going to leave it so that I know where my placement is going, okay? All right, see our beautiful bow that we've already made and fluffed? All right, we're going to add that bow to the pipe cleaner that I just cut down. So let me zoom in so y'all can see right here. Okay, so all I'm going to do is go around the existing pipe cleaner. So I am going to go through the mesh, but I'm going to go around that existing pipe cleaner. So I'm going to actually do it upside down just so y'all can see it, okay? All right, so I'm taking the ends of the Bose pipe cleaner right here, and I'm literally going to go around that pipe cleaner that I just cut down. And I'm going to take that pipe cleaner and I'm going to just drop it in, going around the existing pipe cleaner, and I am going to push it through the mesh just so I can nestle it in a little. Okay, this is the part I wish I could show you better, so that's why I wanted to describe what I was doing. Then I'm taking the other pipe cleaner, and I can kind of show y'all what I did so far. I think you can see that. Okay, now I'm going to take the other pipe cleaner. All right, then I'm going to go around the other side of the pipe cleaner, and I'm pushing it through the mesh. Put my sign back up there. And then I'm going to start pulling the end of the pipe cleaner. I'm not going to pull too hard though, because if I pull it too hard, it's going to sink my bow in. All right, now that I have it, I'm going to move the sign for just a minute because I know where I'm going now with it. And let me show you what it looks like on the back. So this is what I have so far on the back, ladies and gentlemen. So right now it's ready to go around these 2 rings. And as long as you're going around at least 1 ring, that is good. You can go around 1 or 2. So I'm going to literally go around those 2 and I'm just going to twist it off. So let me turn it back over first because I do not want my bow to be sunk in. If you pull too hard, your bow will be sunk in. And I do not like when I see wreaths that have bows that are sunk in. So I'm not going to pull hard at all. I'm really not even going to pull much more. I'm just going to pull a little, and I'm literally starting to twist my bow on the back, and I'm going to show that to you again in just a minute. So I'm twisting those pipe cleaners on the back so that really and truly my bow is going to have a loose fit, if that makes sense. See how it's still nice and plump is the word I'm going to use. Okay, and then this is what the back looks like. So all I did on the back is I just took those 2 ends and I twisted them together. And I'm going to turn it around to me now so I can see how I did. All right, so there is our beautiful bow. Look at there, y'all. That turned out great, didn't it? All right, and then all I'm doing is making sure it's sitting up the way that I want it. Looking at the tails, looking at the loops, okay? And then let's go ahead and cut down the rest of those pipe cleaners because we already decided, look, when the sign is here, we're not going to need any extra ribbon pieces anywhere, okay? So you could go ahead and plan to cut all of your pipe cleaners up front on that inside. I waited just to make sure, but you could certainly do that, okay? And then we'll finish fluffing the bow in just a minute once we put our sign on. All right, so now we have cut down all of our pipe cleaners on the inside. So let's prep our sign. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the little string on the back, just like so. You could save that if you want. I'm not going to save it. And then based on how I'm going to place my sign, since I'm putting mine on the bottom, I am going to attach pipe cleaners on the left and the right. If we were placing our sign, remember we talked about at the beginning, what if we wanted our sign to go on the side? So what if we wanted to make it like this? If I were placing it like this, I would put my pipe cleaner on the top and the bottom so that it's weighted and nice and snug. So as you're placing your sign on the wreath, as you think about where you want to place it, make sure you keep that in mind, okay? Make sure you keep that in mind Wherever you're placing it determines how you need to attach your pipe cleaners. So since we're going like this for ours, I'm going to put my pipe cleaners on the left and the right. So here's what I'm going to do again, y'all. There is a pipe cleaner right here that I just cut. There is one right here. So I'm going to try to see if I can just nestle my sign pipe cleaners around those two areas. So we're going to put pipe cleaners on each side. You will get in your kit, let me grab them. You will get the cable tie mounts, and these are super simple to use. All you're going to do is take the adhesive backing off, and you're going to pop it on the back of your cable tie mount, just like so. You do that for both of them. Okay, peel off that little paper and attach it. And then all you're going to do is peel this particular sticker off, and once you do, you're going to press it down and press it down. And then what I like to do is take a little bit of glue, so that's why I also turned on my glue, and I trace around it, and I make sure I just firm it up with a little bit of glue. Okay, now what I wanted to show you today, if you have a staple gun, let me show you another way. So I'm going to actually use a staple gun, but this is what your kit comes with. And what you would do is, after you put those on, and I like to use my Gorilla Glue to go around it, then you just take your pipe cleaners, go through the holes, and that's how you add your pipe cleaner to your sign. Give it a couple of twists, just like that, and then it stays on your sign, okay? But I want to give you another option. So you have your cable tie mounts that you can certainly use. If you have a staple gun, and this sign is about 1/4 inch thick, I always check the width of my sign first to see how thick it is. So as long as your sign is 1/4 inch thick, then you can use a staple gun. You can pick up a staple gun at Walmart, Lowe's, Amazon has them. If your sign is not 1/4 inch thick, that's where you can use a piece of felt or ribbon to buffer first before you staple. But since this one is thick enough, watch this. All I'm going to do is take my pipe cleaner, fold it in half, and then I'm going to come to that outside left edge, and I'm going to just give it a couple of staples. Just like that. Do you see how I was able to do it? And then all I'm going to do is give it a couple of twists. So I wanted to give you options right there. So that's one way that you can do it. If you do have a staple gun, you can take advantage of that. All right, so let's do the other side. I tend to staple from the left, so I'm just going to rotate it just like so. All right, so I'll line it up and just give it a couple of staples. And that's all you do. All right, I'm going to give it a couple of twists. So let's go ahead and attach the sign. So I know I'm aiming for this general area right here. Okay, so I'm going to go around those two pipe cleaners that I already identified as being where I wanted my sign to go. I'm pushing through the mesh to give me an extra placeholder. So whenever you can do that, that's a great thing, okay? All right, so I'm feeding it in, going around that existing pipe cleaner, and I'm not going to tighten yet. I'm just going to pull it a little bit so I can get the placement, okay? Just like that. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to turn it so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take the pipe cleaner. I'm going around that existing pipe cleaner that I just cut down. All right, let me grab the second one because it's up in the air, touching the sign. There we go. All right, so I'm going to take the pipe cleaner, feed it through the mesh, but I'm going around that pipe cleaner that I already identified that would be right here in its spot. Now, sometimes you can't get your pipe cleaner through the mesh. That's when I use one of my crafting needles. So I keep those up here, the ones that I used to use when I crocheted, and they are perfect for this. All right, before I tighten it, I'm checking to make sure I'm not smushing the mesh. Of course, it's going to lay on it, but you know how the mesh wants to do its own thing. So I'm letting it do its own thing first. There we go. Before I tighten, so let me check on the mesh. All right, there it is. It wants to go like that. All right, so I have both ends ready to go. Pull my bow out. We'll get that bow fixed in just a minute. Okay. All right, so now I need to make sure it's going around at least one bar, and it is. I'm going to make it go around 2. So let's make it go around 2. Okay, and then I need to check it. I always like to look at it, make sure it's centered the way that I want, and it is. All right, so let's finish tightening it on this side. And it's okay to pull a little firmer or harder than you did for your bow, because you want this to stay. Okay, so I always like to check it before I start tightening. All right, I'm going around 2 bars. So it was only around 1. And since I can't get my finger through, I'm going to use my needle nose pliers to pull it through. There we go. All right, now I can tighten it the way that I want. Give it a couple of twists. All right, and then I'll come back and finish tucking it away in just a minute. All right, now let me look at it. I feel like I pulled it tighter on this side. So let me loosen it a little bit. I like the look on the right. Let me open my camera back so y'all can see. So you literally just want to take your time with this. I'm going to pull it up. There we go. And now this time I'm not going to pull as hard as I tighten it up. How's it looking to y'all? What do y'all think? All right, and then I'm going to come back, check out my bow, make sure everything looks the way that I want it to look. I don't want any tails interfering with my words. So I'm going to make sure this tail, and I don't think it is, but I'm going to check it in just a second. I think that 5-inch loop was perfect. If you want, you can go a little longer on your tails. So I could have gone a little longer than the 7 if I wanted. But I think it looks perfect, y'all. Okay. And the loops are already still fluffed from where we made it. And then I'm just taking my tails and arching them down so they're not up in the air. All right, just like that. I think that looks good. So that is our bow. And now I just need to trim down my pipe cleaners. I said I would think about maybe adding some greenery. And I do have some greenery up here. So that, of course, would be an option if you wanted to add some greenery to yours. You could. We'll see in a minute if I'm going to do that. So let me trim down these pipe cleaners. So this is our completed wreath. Let's see what greenery we might want to add, if any. So let's see, I love eucalyptus, and I think I have some of that. I have some of this boxwood that was left over. Here's another one. Another eucalyptus. This is a little different eucalyptus that we could add. What do you think? Should we put some greenery in? Just a little bit going around. So let's cut a little piece right here. And let's just see if we're going to love it. So I'm going to cut it down about right there. And sometimes when the greenery is large like that, you can actually cut it and get 2 pieces. So what if we just added a little piece? And that's actually a bigger piece than I'm thinking, so let me cut it down and see what it's going to look like. So if we cut it like that. All right. So we're just going to cut it down so that we have what I'm going to call bite-sized pieces. So I'm cutting them in pieces. There are 2 pieces. So let's just add some glue to the end of the stem. And then I'm adding it everywhere I have the 2.5-inch ribbon. I'm literally just putting a little glue on the stem, and I'm putting it right on that pipe cleaner. And I think that's going to give it a nice little greenery look to it. All right, so let's add a little glue to the stem. And then add the glue and the stem right there where the pipe cleaner is. So I'm laying it on top. Okay. All right. And then here's the last one. So putting a little glue and then putting it right there on that pipe cleaner. Just like so. All right, so that was a little bonus, y'all. I just added some greenery to it. Let me twirl it back around now so you can see the full design. So here is our completed Home Sweet Home wreath. Let me know in the comments what you think. I thoroughly enjoyed making this one, and I can't wait to hear what you think as you are commenting. If you're watching on the replay, let us know what you think about this one.
Okay, if you're still watching, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. If you purchase this kit and you make this wreath, I would love to see how yours turns out. Be sure to share your photos with me online. To see more of my videos, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. To see more of my wreath designs, visit my website at www.atofaith.com. To learn how to make wreaths and so much more, join my private group at www.learnfromfaith.com. As always, be blessed. Love you all so much. Until the next video, bye everyone.